How do you overcome the fear of failure as an entrepreneur? In this video, you will learn the unconscious meaning of fear of failure, and you will also learn the paradoxical way that you can learn to overcome your fear of failure. If you would like to speed up your ability to overcome the fear of failure, there is a WhatsApp link that I provide where you can receive an audio that supports you and guides you to be able to let go of the fear of failure. So there's a link in the description box. Please go and click that and you can request this audio. Who am I? My name is Vineet Bhatia, and I train entrepreneurs to win the psychological battle with their minds so that they are free to create the business breakthrough that they desire. Without further ado, let's jump in. So what is this problem that many entrepreneurs seem to suffer from? Fear of failure at an unconscious level is the avoidance of getting things wrong, making mistakes. Usually the root of it lies in one's earlier years, where we learned that learning was bad. Because learning is about getting things wrong sometimes, making errors, mistakes, and eventually getting it right. So you do things right and wrong. A bit like a child learning to walk. You fall over, you get up, you learn. And somewhere along the line, you learned that learning was bad. It's the fear of incapability. I often say to my clients, people that have the fear of failure like I had for many years, and many of the clients that I serve, that we believe that it's better to fail to try rather than try and fail. So I want to ask you, how do you generally deal with the fear of failure? With the entrepreneurs that I serve, that I train, what tends to happen is they believe that they're facing the fear of failure. And maybe you're taking the actions and you believe that you're bashing fear of failure over the head. But I can tell you that most people are trying to avoid failing. As I said earlier, avoiding making mistakes and getting things wrong. So therefore, the focus at an unconscious level is not on achieving the breakthrough in your business. At an unconscious level, it's the avoidance of getting things wrong. So you're getting stuck in a trap. So therefore, that begs the question, how do we actually overcome the fear of failure if most conventional ways do not work? The key lies in you are not to try to avoid failing, meaning you're not to try and avoid getting things wrong or making mistakes. You have to allow for that. So now I'm going to break down a process that I teach my clients. It's called the neutralization process. And it is paradoxical in nature, but it will support you to let go of the fear of failure. Step number 1. I want you to think about what is the action that you've been avoiding because you fear that you'll just fail. What is that action? Now there's a little caveat here. You're here to pick an action that is actually going to move the needle towards where you want to get to. Often when I serve clients, when I train clients, they're picking actions and making decisions that are avoiding failure, not actually getting success. So pick an action that you may fail in, right? That you're scared that you may fail in. But if it works for you, it will move the needle towards where you want to get to in your business. Now, number 1, you've got the action. Number 2, what I want you to do, that will hopefully trigger a bunch of thoughts and feelings which you might say are the equivalent of fear of failure. I want you to, rather than pushing away this fear of failure, I want you to gain the awareness. Maybe grab a notepad and pen and write down, when you're attempting to take that action, what are the thoughts and feelings that are arising. Awareness is the first step to change. So what can you become aware of? What is your version of a fear of failure? Write down the thoughts, write down the feelings. Step number 3, we move into neutralization. The way that we neutralize the unconscious fear of failure is by learning to stay. And what I mean by stay is becoming present with the sensation or the emotion that is equal to the fear of failure. It's paradoxical. The more you become present with it, the more it falls away. What most people tend to do is the following. What they resist will persist. If you're trying to avoid something, you make it stronger at an unconscious level. So I want you to sit down at your proverbial desk, like I have behind me, and I want you to come up with the action, write down the thoughts and feelings, and then learn to become present with the fear of failure. How does it play out in your body? And when you learn to become present with it, let it play out without resisting it. And what you don't resist, it will eventually fall away. When it does, you should now be free to take the action. But you may have to repeat this process of neutralization again and again to ultimately dissipate the unconscious charge of the fear of failure, because often the unconscious is full of fear of failure. So you need to repeat it again and again until the charge falls away. What I'd like to add, the reason that many entrepreneurs are not able to overcome the fear of failure, even when they try hard, is because they're failing to understand this key aspect of fear of failure. At an unconscious level, there is a force that's trying to push back, because that opposing force is trying to avoid failure, because it's a survival threat, and that survival will always be stronger. That opposing force will generally win against the other force. What's the other force? You're trying to achieve success. So therefore, generally speaking, for many people, they don't have the will and they won't be able to override the fear of failure, right? So you have to learn to let go of this opposing force. And that is where the neutralization process comes in. That we understand this survival fear that's coming up, that is not against you, and therefore we learn to let it go without fighting it, and therefore what comes to the fore is your ability to actually create success. That is what we're here to do. We're not here to avoid failing and getting things wrong. We're here to be successful in our business. That is the key. So if you would like to fast track your way of learning to overcome the fear of failure, you want to learn this paradoxical way, and you actually want to overcome the fear of failure, then I invite you, there is a link to a free download. It's a WhatsApp link. You can request this fear of failure overcoming audio without any obligation. You'll be sent that, and you can use that to learn to overcome the fear of failure. So I hope this has served you. If it has, I look forward to you being able to share with me how you've been able to overcome the fear of failure. Thank you. It's Vineet here, over and out.